Hi, this is Brett Ingram, entrepreneur and award-winning product creator, and today I want to share with you how to make more sales by offering less. As entrepreneurs and as business owners, in general, we love the internet, right? The digital world is amazing because for the first time, since the internet has been invented and gone mainstream, our stores are open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Whether we have a brick and mortar store, whether we have another office, or whatever, it doesn't really matter. If we have an online presence, that presence is there and able to make sales and generate revenue and all these other things 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, right? Even while we sleep. And it can do it on Christmas Day, it can do it on holidays, whatever, it doesn't really matter. And that's really amazing because it allows us to do that without having someone there to sort of man the ship or watch the store or be paid to actually sit there and see if customers are coming in. So the fact that we can always make sales, the fact that we can always be sort of on and our store can be open is amazing. Because in the old days, with brick and mortar businesses, right? Even if you have that right now, there are limited hours you can keep your store open. I know even in town here, we have a pretty big town, I think it's 60, 70,000 people. And, we had stores, we had gyms that at one point before the pandemic were actually 24 hours a day. They believed that they had so much business that they could stay open. And some of them voluntarily scaled back on that anyway. But certainly since the pandemic and after we've come out the backside of it, nobody's open that long anymore. In fact, a lot of the retail stores, a lot of the restaurants, the gym, everything else has shrunk the hours down because they realized it really wasn't that productive. Everyone felt the pressure to always be open all the time. And yet the irony is it wasn't really used in most of those hours. So even the drive-thrus now at the fast food places, they were 24 hours. Now they're down to like 1 a.m., 2 a.m. The restaurants themselves, stores will close at 9, 10 o'clock, whereas they used to be 11 or midnight or whatever, except on weekends, of course. So that was the way it worked. And I remember as a kid, for me, one of the funny things is Sunday was always family day because Sundays, stores weren't open at all. You couldn't go to retail stores in most cases on a Sunday because they were closed. And so the idea was you had to do all of your shopping during the week, but you knew on Sunday you were going to do something with your family because there was no other option. And then it became, they were open for a few hours. They opened at noon and closed at 5. Then it was 9 and 5. It's sort of like the way the Black Friday stuff works now. Initially, it opened on Friday morning after Thanksgiving, and then it was open on Friday. And then it became, midnight on Thursday night on Thanksgiving. And then it's, all there now on Thanksgiving, stores are all open because they felt the pressure to be able to stay up and compete with everybody. And they know that they're going to make a lot more sales. So regardless, in order to do that with a real store, you have to have staff, you have to have people there, or you, if you're the proprietor, need to be there all the time. So with the online world, the great part about it is that we're available all the time. But while on paper that really looks great, and logically it makes a lot of sense, there's actually a pretty paradoxical and interesting downside to it too, to having ever-present product availability. When I was a kid, one of the movies I remember seeing, because I've always been a movie fan, I really like to go to the theater, but I even like to watch movies at home, and I just love the experience of getting lost in a piece of entertainment for a couple of hours and being taken to another world. I find that really a lot of fun and everything. And so it was a treat for our family to go to the movies. We didn't do it very often. And even as a teenager, when I went with friends, we went sometimes, but we weren't there all the time. And in my town where I grew up, we had a four movie theater cinema. And I remember, clear as day, when the movie E.T., the Extraterrestrial, came out. The Steven Spielberg masterpiece that everybody loves. It's probably dated a little bit now. But at the time, it was like the highest grossing film maybe ever. I don't know the statistics on it, but certainly one of, and the highest demand film. And I remember we went to the theater to see it, and there were 4 movie theaters in the cinema that we went to, and you would wait in line. And the line, when there was a new movie that was in really high demand, especially E.T., I never saw it like that. The line was all the way out the door, and it stretched all the way across, halfway across the parking lot. And so you'd get in line and you'd wait. There were no online ticket sales. There was no way to know when the movie would sell out. And literally, the people would sell the tickets until they got to the last ticket, and then they would just tell everybody else, sorry, we're sold out. And that's the way that it worked. And they didn't pre-sell tickets for the next one. So you had to come back and wait in line again. It almost seems insane nowadays with the way things work, because you just buy it online, you get an assigned seat. There was none of that. It was first come, first serve. You went into the theater, you picked your seat, and you sat down. So if you got the last couple of tickets, you might be in the front row, you might be separated where there's only 2 empty seats available, and that's the way that it worked. We had to go back to the movie theater 4 times, to be able to get into E.T. That's how popular it was. And here's the other funny part. It was in one of the 4 cinemas, one of the 4 theaters in the cinema. Nowadays, if there's a popular movie that comes out, it's playing in 5 or 6 of the theaters in one cinema. There's a 12 cinema theater, and 5 screens have the same movie because it's that popular. So again, the great thing is now we can just go to any movie whenever we want. It's almost never sold out, especially if we buy a little bit in advance. The downside is you lose some of that excitement. You lose some of that anticipation. As disappointed as we were every time we got turned away at the door and they told us, oh, sorry, we're sold out, we were even more excited to go back the next time because we knew that the movie was going to be that exciting to see. If everybody wanted to see it, it was so hard to get the tickets. We really wanted to get in to see it. So people started showing up early. They started showing up an hour early, 2 hours early to wait in line. And it's sort of like when the new iPhone drops, right? There's a line outside the door and around the block. People are camping out with their sleeping bags for the night before. That's the way the movies were back then. And it was really, really exciting to be able to go and see that. And the theaters were packed every time you went to a popular movie. So the experience of being there was just really, really exciting. And now, because it's ever present and the movies are always available, and maybe the opening weekend might be tough, but really that's it. I mean, E.T. had been out for about a month, I think, before we were able to see it. In this particular case, maybe you can't see it opening weekend. After that, you're good to go. You can go to any theater you want. So there's less excitement. There's less demand because there's too much accessibility. So that's sort of the flip side of it, right? They're able to maximize the ticket sales because every person that wants to go see it is able to go see it. But at the same time, it reduces the excitement and the anticipation. A great consumer product example of this, and I'm dating myself with this, but one of the very first examples of a consumer product that was so wildly popular and so difficult to get that it literally was causing fights in the aisles at department stores. And this is decades ago. This is before you saw them virally on YouTube, and now it's happening all the time. This was unheard of. There was a thing called the Cabbage Patch Kid, and it was basically a doll, but each one was unique. They had a slightly different eye color. They each had their own name. They had, curly hair, and this one was, blonde hair, and that one was red hair. And each one was completely unique. They had a unique name and a unique identity. And this was revolutionary at the time. So the people were so excited about it that during the holiday season, when there was 1 or 2 left on the shelf, people would go in and literally fight over trying to get that last Cabbage Patch Kid. Just like you see on the ads now where they're making fun of that stuff actually happened. I mean, more recently, we've seen that with Walmart and some gaming consoles and things like that, where people have done pretty extreme things to get the last, game or the last, toy or whatever. And when you think about that, and you think about it from a logical standpoint, it's absolutely insane. It makes no sense at all. Why would anybody do this over a game? You're going to risk going to prison, getting arrested over a game or over a toy for your kid. But that's the sort of out of body experience people have when the excitement and anticipation grows so much they can't even control it. So why is that? Why does that stuff happen? Why would people get into fights over toys at a toy store? Well, the answer is scarcity. People want it more because they can't get it. It's flat out a psychological trigger, and whether we like it or not, we're all prone to it. You know, scarcity flat out works, and it's one of those things that for one reason or another, as human beings, when we're told no, we can't have it, it becomes more desirable. You know, there's an old saying that goes, you know, we want what we can't have. And it absolutely has some truth to it, because in that particular case, anything that there's out there, if we want it at all, and then we find out it may not be available, all of a sudden our desire for it goes through the roof. We went from, I'm kind of interested in that to, oh, I got to have that. I've got to get it. I don't care what it takes. I want one of those things and I want it right now. And that's exactly the way that it goes, right? It's like Willy Wonka in the chocolate factory and, you know, what is it, Veruca Salt? Or, you know, one of them goes in there and, I want a golden goose and I want it now, Daddy. That kind of thing. And that's essentially what happens. As soon as they know it isn't for sale or isn't available, all of a sudden the desire goes through the roof and people go crazy to go get it. So people will pay more in those cases. They will jump through hoops to get it. And here's the craziest part. After they've done that, they'll be happy to have done it. They don't even regret it after the fact. You know, I know with the gaming consoles, when they were coming out at year end and holiday time, and maybe the retail price was, say, $300, people were buying whatever allotment they could get at their local store and then going online and selling them. And they were selling them for $500, $600, $700, sometimes $1,000 for literally exactly the same thing with nothing extra, but just the fact that you could get it now instead of waiting until after the holidays. It makes sense on one hand. Obviously, if you want to give it to your kids as a gift, you know, timing does matter. But on the other hand, it's a little bit crazy, right? It's a little ridiculous. I mean, they could get another toy, you could get that for them after, and you can get them an entire collection of games for the same amount of money. But that's what, you know, that's sort of the emotional response that people get, and they'll actually feel happy that they did it. So the thing is, those are all stories of sort of, you know, years gone by, days long ago, but the same stuff applies in business today. In the industry that I'm in with software and with affiliate marketing, right, one of the things that we do is we do product launches. And a launch is sort of the same way that Apple does a new drop or Android does a new drop for Samsung or whatever, where there's a new gadget that's coming out and it comes out on this day, and they give you sneak peeks and then it launches and everyone can't wait to get it. And it's a similar idea. The thing of it is, or the difference of it is, with a launch, it closes. So the idea is what people realized in the online digital marketing industry is that if you then have not only a start date, but an end date where it closes or the offer closes. So maybe the price goes way up, maybe it's still available, but it's available in a limited quantity, or the bonuses aren't included or whatever. But there's a period of time you could get it, and then that ends after like a week. Well, here's the funny thing. So people have studied this statistically to see what effects this has on sales. Because again, logically, you'd think to yourself, well, once I've launched a product, don't I want it to be available? Don't I want people to be able to buy it 24 hours a day, 7 days a week? And the answer is yes and no. So when people used to just do that, at the end of the launch period, it would sort of trickle sales and they'll keep coming in for weeks and months and, you know, maybe years, who knows? When they started to do the closing, an interesting phenomenon happened. On the last day of a launch, right before it closed and the price would either go up or it was no longer going to be on sale or whatever, they could make the same amount of sales that they made on the launch day. So the day where all the excitement, all the anticipation, everything is there and everybody can't wait to get it, the cart goes live and people start buying it like crazy, right? Then it sort of it slows down and it sort of troughs a little bit in the middle of the launch week, and then it starts to go back up at the very end. Well, the closing day has been shown over and over and over again, if it's done right, that it can sell as much as the original launch day. That's how powerful it is. This product has already been around for 6 days now, and yet on the 7th day, it sells as much as it did on the first day. That is remarkable. And that's because of the idea that it's scarce, that it's going to be going. And if you think that it's only online or digital products where this applies, just turn on your local television station. McDonald's, right, offers this sandwich, limited time only. Why is that? It's because they know that's the thing that's going to get you to go in there now. If they say, hey, we've added this to our menu permanently, okay, well, next time I get there, I'll try it. If I know it's only going to be available a limited time and I never know when it's going to disappear, if I have any desire to try that sandwich, I got to run in there. Car ads are famous for this, right? Come in now to the end of the year Toyota savings event. There's a savings event every week. So when the end of the year one starts, it'll be coming now to the beginning of the year savings event. The cars are the same prices. There's no new value. There's no new, it's literally the same thing over and over and over again. But they don't just say, we're always available. Come in, get your car whenever you want it. They always run it as a sale that runs for a short period of time. These special offers won't last. They'll last because when you go in next week, they'll be there. They'll just be named something else. Everybody knows it intuitively, but the scarcity works. Otherwise, these multi-million, multi-billion-dollar companies wouldn't spend money on advertising campaigns that do that if it didn't work. So it flat out works. And of course, infomercials are a notorious example of this. If you order in the next 15 minutes, we'll double your order. They're going to double your order even if you order it later. But the fact is, if they say that, it's going to get you to pick up the phone right now before you forget about it, get busy with the kids, and then never call them up. So scarcity, like it or not, understand it or not, it flat out works, even if it's counterintuitive for us as product owners and product sellers. So if we can find a way to ethically use it in our own marketing, then we can get people excited for what we have and ultimately sell more, not less. So that is the great irony about sales and about offering a scarcity in terms of something that we're offering, because whether or not it is a limited time, whether or not it is a limited price, a limited quantity. Now, the key with the scarcity is it also has to be real. So you can't claim we only have 100 of these available and then sell 500 of them, right? So you have to find a way to build scarcity into your offer in a way that's authentic and real, but actually has teeth to it enough that's going to get people to take action. So again, it could be a limited time. You could throw in extras, bonuses, things like that. Any of those kinds of things that are unique or that they can only get if they get it right now are all very powerful, because all of those things are the things that get people to take action. So the takeaway here is having our products and services available around the clock, 365 days a year, has some logical appeal and expands our potential for sales, no question about it. But the reality of it is demand for products, the prices people will pay, and the lengths that they will go to all skyrocket when there's scarcity, or in nowadays, FOMO, right? Fear of missing out, as they say. We need to find ways to inject scarcity into our offers. Limited time, limited number, or some special benefit that's only available for a limited time or a limited exposure. When we do that, we can increase demand for our products and services and actually make more sales by offering less.